This is what a modern-day cutting-edge rocket factory looks like. Young technology and young faces, energetic, even frenetic. Insanely focused on launching a rocket soon.
So this is the integration area. This is where things come together. To me, it's the most exciting part because you see a bunch of departments have their hard work come together getting assembled.
Diana Alcindi fled from war-torn Iraq when she was 14. She's now 25, about the average age here at Virgin Orbit. She is a propulsion engineer, a young rocket scientist, and a warehouse full of them inventing a new way to fly.
Everything is trial and error. For example, that rocket probably has hundreds and hundreds of tubes. These tubes were designed and analyzed one by one, and we take them in hand and try to install them. And sometimes they don't fit, and sometimes they fit and it's great, and we don't have to redesign them again.
The plan is to launch a rocket not from a pad, but from a wing on this modified 747 jumbo jet.
If you look around the world, there are close to 200, I think, 150 to 200 launch companies now, startups. But really, we're the only one that very visibly that's using an airplane. So it's an air launch platform. That's very unique.
Why is that better?
Well, as an airplane can go anywhere very quickly.
Monica Jan is Virgin Orbit's VP of Customer Experience. She says Virgin already has a long list of customers booked through 2021, even though it hasn't test-fired a single one of these rockets, and so it hasn't made a single dime. But this space company has a billionaire backer, the founder and leader of the global Virgin brand, Sir Richard Branson, who regularly visits the factory here in Long Beach.
What's he like?
Wow, great guy, down to earth.
And so Virgin Orbit is much farther along than most other aerospace startups.
So Launcher One starts from scratch here, and it finishes.
Exactly.
Completely built.
This is the last stop for Launcher One before it leaves the building to Mojave for launch.
The people, the machines, and the technology are already in place, about to introduce a radical, revolutionary system of sending rockets and satellites into space.
The competition in the commercial space industry we're seeing is so intense that you better be doing it faster and better than the other guys, or you're not going to make it. Virgin's rocket building is some of the most advanced in the world we're seeing. Take, for example, this test piece that they gave me. It came out of their 3D printer that is like none other. This is copper, and this is stainless steel, and this was printed as one single solid piece. With conventional manufacturing, this would have been 3 pieces, all welded together.
These parts just came out of the printer, and these are actually 2 end caps for 2 different engines.
And these are going to be as strong and as durable as any part made by human hand?
Yeah, probably stronger. These are precisely designed and precisely manufactured. Every part is almost identical.
Lars Hoffman, a former Air Force test pilot and SpaceX engineer, is in charge of global launch services at Rocket Lab, another rocket building startup just down the coast from Virgin in Huntington Beach, California. Rocket Lab also uses 3D printers, but much smaller ones, because its rocket, the Electron, is much smaller itself, aiming to launch mini or micro satellites just to low Earth orbit.
We are the only dedicated small launch provider in the U.S. right now. There's other launch providers around the world that are trying to get into the market, both domestic and international, but we believe we have about a 2-year lead on anybody else, given that we launched for the first time in May of 2017.
What's really unique about Rocket Lab, though, is it's the only rocket maker in the world to also build and sell satellites. This is Photon and its chief engineer.
When people think about doing space missions, they usually go out and they buy a satellite, and then they go out and they buy a rocket, and then they go out and they buy a payload, and they try to figure out how to piece it all together. We want to be the one-stop shop that does everything for you except the sensor or the instrument that makes you money.
Think about a small business that wants to put a camera or antenna or transmitter into space.
Wow.
The Electron and the Photon together can put just about anybody's anything into orbit, as long as it's small enough. The price is relatively small, too. A launch starts around $5 million, not $50 million like the other guys. And if the rocket has extra room, the price could drop well below that, especially for students. space projects.
And some have already. Middle schools, high schools, universities. We've put a couple of academic payloads onto orbit already.
Rocket Lab is also booked through the next couple of years and also has deep pockets, already getting almost $300 million in investor money, launching monthly from New Zealand and soon NASA's Wallops Island flight facility in Virginia. That steady success and solid support puts Rocket Lab, like Virgin Orbit, well ahead of hundreds of other rocket-building startups.